I'm trying to play efficiently here. There's a lot to be said for trying to play efficiently. Get a good sound with minimal finger effort. So you don't have to work your fingers to the bone to sound bad to the bone. Haha. Today I want to talk about something that I've picked up recently. Something that I discovered that Jeff Beck, who recently passed through this life, and Billy Gibbons have in common is that they use some open string power chords. Maybe we should look at what that means today. Basically, an open string power chord is when you're playing a power chord, which is made up of just the root and the fifth of the chord. So let's say it's a G chord. So your notes are going to be G, D, and G again, and as many repetitions of that as you can. The more, the thicker and beefier it sounds. And then a C chord can be a C and a G. It doesn't have to have more than one open string though to qualify for what I'm talking about. The example that I'm going to give of Billy Gibbons is that he does it with one open string, usually at a time, but it just adds an interesting quality to it. So I'm going to grab my guitar and it's going to make some noise. And once again, I have it plugged into my amazing little Spark mini amp. So, what should I start with? So that's a sharp dressed man, and he's using some open string. I didn't know this. I watched this guy on YouTube called Robert Baker, and he's a much more professional video producer than I. He's obviously making a full-time living at being a guitar player and instructor and YouTuber. I don't know if he's here on stream or not, but he actually has a course just about Billy Gibbons style. And he just recently figured this out. I learned some cool things from him. I learned the right way to play a little section of the Grange solo. And I learned this. We're talking about the open string fifth chord. So up here at the 8th fret, I think the beginning, I missed something. He picked up something. I think he did this. And I'm doing this. Robert didn't show this. He only showed this one. Doesn't that sound cool? That sounds more like, I used to play this wrong. I used to play this like this. Something like. And it sounded okay off the little cover bands that I played with, especially if it was more than a trio, because the other guy would play something and it would sound like the song. I mean, everybody could recognize it, but it wasn't quite right. And if you listen to the recording of Sharp Dressed Man, you'll hear two different guitar parts. In the right speaker, you'll hear this part. And then over in the left speaker, you'll hear this. And that's hard I had to practice a lot to be able to move from this part down to this part. That's why I came up with this other little part. Up here. Both of these feature power fifth chords with an open string, especially an open G string. Down here, you start on the G note because you're going from a G chord. G, to a B flat, to a C chord, fifth chords. If you put the thirds in there and emphasize them, it doesn't sound quite right. I guess it's okay. But it's really a power fifth chord. So what Billy does is he hits the G and then goes this little hammer on. And I'm pretty sure he plucks with his fingers. I don't know which fingers. I use my middle and ring finger. Beware of that. Tuning is very important. And so anyway, back to the open G power chord. You're muting the D string because you don't want the D string in there. It's actually an open C power chord here in this case. And if you let the D ring, it's not going to sound good. See? No, and if you put the E in there, make it obviously major, it doesn't work. It's got to be that power 5 chord. Like that. So we've got the C, we got open G, and then we got the C on the B string on the first fret. So that's that. This isn't something I know Billy does, and this isn't something Robert Baker showed. I was just trying to figure out how to do something similar that sounds kind of right without having to move my hand all the way from the 8th fret down to the 3rd fret. That's a big movement. So you're just kind of I'm keeping the G fingered on the 10th fret on the A string with my ring finger, and I've got the B flat on the 7th fret. Actually, that's actually the 8th fret on my D string, and I'm hammering on to the 10th fret from there with my pinky. I'm trying to play efficiently here. There's a lot to be said for trying to play efficiently. Get a good sound with minimal finger effort. So you don't have to work your fingers to the bone to sound bad to the bone. Haha. Alrighty. So that's the Billy Gibbons trick, and then he does the same thing when he's coming up from the G to the F. I think he's playing like an open G. Something like that. So you're sliding up from the F and the C, which are the F power chord here. F note on the first fret of the low E string, and your C note on the 3rd fret of the A string together. That's your really basic simple F power chord or power 5th chord. And then I'm plucking the D and G strings open. There's the open G. So what's an example from Jeff Beck? Well, we got that intro to Blue Wind, which goes something like this. At least this is the way I used to play it. Something like that. But this, I'm sorry, I got carried away. But I got to thinking after listening to Robert Baker talk about Billy Gibbons and his open string power chords. I wonder if you could play a power chord here. Maybe. So I include the open G string now, and I pluck with my fingers. And then I got to thinking, well, what if I bend that note in and out instead of just fingering it and do something like Gotta bend it a little more, don't I? And what if I don't even finger the G note on the G strings? I mean on the D string. What if I play the open D and the open G underneath this and play one note, finger one note on the A string and bend it, and it'd sound something like this. How about that, huh? So I don't know if that's what Jeff does, and I don't know how he plays it now, but I just thought it was cool that I could work in, you know, D, G. And I don't, and it's really an open G power chord, but it's against an A. I think it's really substituting for that A7, that A dominant. Well, it's got to, because it's got a G in it, right? It can't be a totally major chord, and it's not a minor. Nope, C. You don't got the C, you got the C sharp. So that's what leads me to believe that this is sort of a... And Jan Hammer actually wrote the tune, and he's a keyboard player, so I don't know if he has I've never looked to see if he has his own version without guitar somewhere as to what that sounds like. Might be interesting. But and there you have it. Some open power chord ideas from Billy Gibbons and Jeff Beck.